Hello, everyone, and welcome to State of the Realm, your weekly Final Fantasy XIV podcast. I am very much struggling to get through this intro because I am exhausted from patch 5.4 week. We're going to be giving you our first spoiler-free impressions of patch 5.4. We've got tons of shows lined up for the next several weeks, whether it be a spoiler cast, Air Zivia, or a raid discussion show. We got a bunch of stuff planned, plus we have 0.41 and 0.45, so it's going to be an exciting season for State of the Realm. With that, I'm one of your hosts, Mr. Happy, and joining me is my partner in crime. The boys are back in town. Well, hopefully at some point. Sly, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm not as tired as you, but like I'm kind of feeling it a little bit, a little sluggish.
Yeah. No, I'm feeling it big time.
Yeah, I know you are.
It's next level, and I'll definitely talk about that a little bit through this because it's been a great week. I'm just tired, and it's not gonna change a whole lot going into the next several days or weeks because I didn't even mean to say new season. Chat caught that immediately. We are actually coming up on our fifth year anniversary is in January for State of the Realm.
Yeah.
It doesn't count. It doesn't show as well with the show numbers, but it should be 5 because we started after FanFest. Pretty sure in January. It was the first show was I think January in 2016.
Yep.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Oh, no, you know what? Actually, no. January 2015. So it's 6 years because it was before Heavensward came out. We came back from FanFest for Heavensward, and that's when it all kind of came together. So I didn't mean to say that, but that event is coming up for us, Sly. Maybe we do because we haven't really celebrated a milestone.
We never really celebrate our milestones other than like 100 episode milestones, and I don't even think we celebrate those anymore.
No, we did. Like I'm pretty sure 200. We literally started the show. Someone reminded me, and I went, "Oh." I'm pretty sure you were like. I was like, "Oh yeah. Wow, it's 200." Cool.
Cool.
Yeah. So might have to get a date for that because that means we have more material to dig through, I suppose.
Yeah.
For a show.
Yeah.
Maybe we do that. Maybe we make that another show. Although we'll still be busy around that time. Although we'll see because we're getting closer and closer to some really really big topic weeks as February now draws nearer and nearer.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah. Well, before we start this show though, to cover patch 5.4 and our first spoiler-free impressions, of course, you have to thank our sponsor. Steel Series sponsors the show every week. There's a giveaway every month. No point in not entering, although it may take a while for some people to get their prizes during the holiday season because I know that they have been sold out of keyboards on the website for the past, since Black Friday. So they got swamped on the website. So doesn't mean you can't enter, though. You'll get the prize. Trust me. It'll come sooner or later. Just got to enter the giveaway, and thanks to them for sponsoring the show and with the discount code Mr. Happy 12 as well. And, of course, thank you to our patrons whose names have been scrolling in the top right. You guys are awesome, and you guys have got an extended shout-out later in the show. Sly, that was about as much energy as I have for the show I put into that sponsor read.
Okie doke.
That's the kind of week I'm having.
Yeah.
This coffee has been room temperature for 3 hours, and I'm going to drink it. That's the kind of week I'm having, okay?
Jesus. So let's start off small, I guess. And it's not really small, but story.
It's small because we can't talk about it yet, Sly. We're spoiler free.
Right. We're spoiler free, so we can't say a lot. But how'd you feel about this story? This patch story?
Can I give it to you? Oh, I can't give it to you visually because I'm the audio only listener. Okay, well I'll give it to you visually first, and then I'll say it.
So what Happy is doing right now is he is holding his head and looking up,
wide-eyed and fearful.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. You were definitely right about a few things. Yeah, it at certain points, and we'll talk about this more next week. It definitely had a lot of impact, and I'm glad we kind of got it out the way. It's really fucking hard to talk.
Yeah,
about
no,
story.
it is. Let's just say that I now have a lot more when it comes to predictions for 6.0 that we can't discuss because as Sly said, there were a few things I had ideas about that at least I were alluded to and or were covered in the patch. No ideas in particular, just things things that are important to say the least. It felt a lot more like a 0.1 story patch than a 0.4 in a sense that this feels like it's more leaning towards the end of an expansion. You know how expansions kind of do their initial story and then they do the finale in 0.3. This almost feels like it's leading towards the 0.3 finale more so than leading towards the next expansion, which
I definitely understand that.
It kind of makes sense though, because at the end of 0.3 they talk about how, the final story of the star that everyone take way too seriously is the end of Final Fantasy 14, but that's the scale they're going for. So there's really no brakes to pump. There's no stopping. It's full throttle, foot on the gas, 0 to 90 in 6 seconds kind of patch.
To me, it feels it kind of felt like a 2.0 patch.
Yeah. No, I know exactly what you mean by that. People who haven't done it yet are going to be like, what the fuck are they talking about? And that's why you need to go do it. And that's why this first impression episodes are the worst. Not because they're bad shows, but because we can't say shit. We can't say shit. We can't have guests who want to say shit. This is dying right now. He came to me and said, so when is the fucking show? When are we doing the lore show? And I was like, well, when do you want to do it? He's like, don't ask me when I want to do it. When are we doing it? And I was like, I'm going to go talk to Sly. He's like, yeah, you do that. You do that. And you get back to me. And you tell me when it is. Okay? He threatened me.
Yeah, that sounded hella threatening. I've never seen threatening at this. Yeah. That's scary.
Yeah, next week. It'll be next week. Spoiler cast will be next week. We'll do it on Friday, so that way it's a week and a half. It's kind of close to our old 2 weeks, but it's still in line with our... Because we've been doing 1 weeks a lot. I think every spoiler cast for all of Shadowbringers has been the Tuesday after.
Yeah.
But we are coming up on the holidays, so we got to work around that schedule as well.
Yep.
So, make it happen. But that's... Yeah. Do the story. If you're new,
do the story.
If you're new to the game, do the story. If you've played the game for a few years, do the story.
Do the story.
If you don't do the story because you don't like it, do the story. Whatever the reason, do it. It's all I'd really say. You might have a good time. You may say so myself.
Yeah.
Now, there is something else we can cover spoiler free, and it's something I'm far more comfortable expressing my opinion about without spoiling anything.
Okay.
And that is Nier.
Okay. All right. Now, see, the thing is, I haven't done it, and the reason why is kind of like what we talked about pre-show. I forgot. I literally forgot that it was there.
And just like pre-show, I wish I forgot.
And like every day I kind of remind myself, oh yeah, there's freaking Nier to do. Like I gotta do Nier, and I just keep forgetting it.
How do I put it? And how did I put it pre-show? This was the best of the quests, and it would still be better if it had nothing to do with Nier.
So best of the worst.
Yeah. Like, I'd say about 5 minutes of it are Nier related, or like you would unambiguously be able to say that's Nier related. The first 15 to 20 is like kind of an endearing Final Fantasy 14, it's all good. In a bubble, if you just take that 15 minutes out and insert it pretty much into any other event, in the game, you'd have what would be considered a pretty good quest. And then the end happens, and you're like, I don't fucking care. Who fucking cares? I don't fucking care.
That's how they get you. That's how they get you. Every time. Every single patch with Nier involved. That's how it happens.
And it's still the best. Like, even the part where it's like, I don't fucking care. I'm like, well, that's more interesting than everything else that's happened so far.
I'm really not surprised at this point.
So, if you've played Drakengard, there's some things in there that are going to stand out a little bit more for people who aren't just Nier Automata fans. And that gives you, like, a slight sense of, oh, wow, yeah, that's... Oh, boy. And that's about as far as the gets, spoiler-free wise. And then now it's over. And now I come for the finale, where probably all of the twists gets Yokotaro, so the only patch that actually matters is the last one. That's just how he does it. Who cares? If you've played Drakengard, the first 70% is this kind of fantasy story about a dude and a dragon, and then the last 30% is flying babies eating everyone with fucking rabid teeth. It just goes from A to B, and there's just, it's literally A, B, and that's just how it goes with Yokotaro. So, I'm still optimistic that maybe the last patch will be entertaining. I think entertaining's possible.
You're a good one. I have no optimism whatsoever. I completely given up.
We'll do this one, and then when we do spoiler cast, come back and we'll see if you have any optimism.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, I mean, at least it was, again, it was more entertaining than all the other quests combined. But it was still just it was like, oh my God. I just don't know. I just don't know. And especially, I mean, it's just a tiny little bit, but it's just been such a damper on the whole expansion. Like, that's the one thing Shadowbringers fell through for me, is the 24-man. I've never been less interested in the 24-man.
I can agree with that. 100%. I mean, I've been interested in actually doing the dungeon, not any story behind it.
I go into the dungeon optimistic. I do it like, that's neat. And then I do it once more and I go, no, it's not. And then I just leave. Like with every other expansion's 24-man, I go back and I do it most of the time. I actually do it every week. I have no interest in doing that this time. None whatsoever. Ugh, I just don't care. It just doesn't belong. If you wanted to make a follow-up to Nier, just make it a Nier. Get it out of Final Fantasy. It just doesn't fit. It doesn't work. It just doesn't work. I just don't care. Anyway, moving on to brighter topics. Pretty much everything else in the patch turned out pretty good. And from my chat, I refused to finish playing Nier Automata because I thought the gameplay was mediocre at best. So I watched a YouTube compilation of all of the story. I do not like Platinum games. I just don't.
I actually got through the end and I thought it was pretty neat. Just saying.
I like the story. I just couldn't stomach the gameplay long enough to actually finish it myself. I just don't like Platinum games. I just don't like their gameplay. It feels like weightless and soulless. It feels like it's just
Wait.
Yeah.
Bayonetta?
Yeah, I don't like Bayonetta. Compared to Devil May Cry, it's inferior to me by like a long shot.
Okay. Like this, we can table this for a TLG because this is just like, this feels like a whole bunch of counseling done in gaming form, and we just need to have it. All right.
Because like, so here's Nier Automata. You hold down the fucking shoot button, and then it's just generic ass gameplay from there. That's the whole fucking game. Dodge, swing. None of the abilities have any weight. They're all flash and no substance. There's no weight. There's no feeling. It's like, you know how Souls games, like when you fucking swing, This game's like, every Platinum games, it's like you're fucking swinging cardboard.
Again, Bayonetta?
Yeah, it's the same thing.
See, I'm of the mind of if they ever did another Raidoku's Noha game, I would want Platinum to actually do it. Like I would
never want it. I would never want it. Give it to anyone else. I would rather have Luminous who did 15 do it than have Platinum do it. I'm that against Platinum Games gameplay. Revengeance is the only Platinum Games game I've stomached to get through, and I don't even like Metal Gear Solid. I just like slicing watermelons. Hey, seriously, the watermelon slicing was more entertaining than the rest of the fucking game.
Yeah, we're gonna table this for TBG because this is just like a whole can of worms that we don't want to open for the rest of the show. So let's.
Well, I've already opened it.
Let's move on to something a little brighter, I should say. Emerald Weapon.
Man, that's a tough one. Emerald. So first of all, whirl it again, spoiler free. But again, hits the mark.
Yeah, agree.
Without a doubt, hits the mark in pretty much every regard. I actually found I liked more characters coming out of this one than I did going into it. There's certain aspects we get to see of some characters we still only get glimpses into.
Oh boy.
Yeah, no, we're not talking about that. We're not going to talk about that.
We can't. But
does chat not listen to me? I said I like Devil May Cry, and they're like, "Oh, he's going to be mad." Devil May Cry. I said Devil May Cry is the good game. And I know Bayonetta was DMC 1 and 2, but those are the two worst Devil May Cry games, so that's why it's okay that he's on Bayonetta. He's got a 50-50 repertoire on decent Devil May Cry games.
So yeah, like you said, we get a glimpse of certain characters within this chapter of Whirl It, and man, do we get a fucking glimpse. I'm like, God, but everything we saw in the first two Whirl It chapters pales in comparison. Like,
yeah, and let's not underestimate those chapters.
Yeah, they were good chapters, but man, this just opened the floodgates. God, I hate that I can't say shit, but yeah, regarding story, Whirl It, this chapter of Whirl It, it's amazing, and the post quest, quest too.
It only takes like 10 minutes, the post quest, but it's
it doesn't even take that long, and I'm glad I saw certain characters in the post quest.
Yeah,
I'm glad.
There's some references. There's some references to some things there Whirl It is. It's just been solid the whole way through. There's nothing not to like about it thus far.
Mm-hmm. Now the fight. The fight's fun as fuck.
The fight's okay.
In comparison to Ruby,
it's okay. Okay, Sly. Let's.
Okay, all right. You're gonna tell me that Emerald is okay and Ruby was.
I'm saying they're both okay. So, they're both okay.
Ruby less so.
I think
if we're comparing the two, Ruby was kind of meh. Like a whole lot meh after that first experience. After that first clear, I guess, it's meh. Like your first experience in Emerald was like, what the fuck? Okay, seriously, what the fuck? And like it just got better and better. And then once you kind of get used to it, you're like, okay, like.
So here's the problem. You're looking at Ruby Weapon. The problem is, it's like two moldy slices of bread and a fucking filet mignon in the middle with Seed of Sacrifice. That's the thing that makes both of them just okay. Because they might be received better, more so, if Seed of Sacrifice didn't exist. Because Seed of Sacrifice is the pinnacle of trial development they've done. Of all time, it's what's up there as one of the best. But the other two beside it, before and after, are just okay. And that makes them look worse by comparison, just by proximity to Seed of Sacrifice.
You really just called an emerald weapon a piece of moldy bread.
Yeah. Well, it's that or a big fat taco, Sly. It's got to be one of the two. Would you prefer to make it could be tacos and then a filet mignon between two tacos? Actually, that sounds like a good idea. Not 2 taco shells, by the way. 2 full tacos.
Full tacos.
Yeah.
Like whole ass tacos. I'll agree with you for Ruby, just not for Emerald. Emerald was actually good. And yeah, if you're going to compare it to Seed of Sacrifice, yeah, Seed of Sacrifice is going to win out. That's not to diminish the Emerald fight. It was decent. It was really good.
I do mean to diminish. Okay, Sly, hold on. So you like it. You like it better than Ruby. What do you like about it? There's one thing in particular you have to leave out, if that's a factor. The oversoul, like the identity. But what puts it higher on the scale than Ruby Weapon for you?
It felt a little more involved than Ruby Weapon. Ruby Weapon in like Ruby first, hell, let's go phase by phase. First phase of Ruby Weapon in comparison to first phase of Emerald wasn't really that bad. And when I say bad, I mean it wasn't like mechanics wise, there wasn't a lot going on. You can say the same for hell, you said the mechanics look smooth. They look smooth.
The animations are great. I don't think I ever really hamper on animations for things too often. I'm sure it happens, but
right.
Like Emerald is just, it's like a normal mode. There's 2 mechanics across the fight that are not normal mode, and the rest are normal mode.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I think Emerald has a better identity than Ruby does, because Ruby's phase 1 I think is strong. I think the identity compared to specifically the phase 1, it's got references to who the Oversoul is. It tells you also immediately who it is before you've even been shocked by what actually happens. It's got things that are definitely iconic specifically to Ruby Weapon, the claws going in the ground, the patterns, the whirl sand. I think it's hilarious, especially with the spiral sand. Just every time the spiral sand part comes up, it cracks me up to see just people bam, bam, bam,
bam,
die.
bam.
I wouldn't say it's that much more complex than Emerald, but when I look at Emerald, the first phase is there's one part that is people are frustratingly not good at, and the rest just, it's like it's normal mode. I don't understand how that made it past the quality check.
Bombs?
The orbs, if that's what you're referring. No, the orbs. Literally everyone is, the party finder is orbs are a disaster. Somehow the very first.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But the rest, it's like the spinning and like the outward AoE, and that takes like 20 seconds. He does it twice. Like, yeah. And you want to know something funny? When we were doing it this week, we would run the opposite way close to the center of the hitbox and just not get hit by the AoE, because it's still only position checking every so often for the spiral, even though it's a nice smooth animation. It doesn't actually hit constantly. So you can walk through it and not get hit if you're lucky enough. So we would just play a game where we'd all walk in the opposite directions to see who got hit and who didn't, and how many times they got hit. So looks really cool. The substance is kind of low, but then yeah, like all the bomb patterns are just kind of lame.
Yeah,
and nothing else happens in the whole first phase. Just nothing happens.
It's meant to be a short phase, though.
But their Ruby is too, like I think both Emerald and Ruby, their first phase is in range at like 5 to 5.5 minutes. And their second phases are approximately the same. It's about a 10 to 11 minute fight, but it's got a checkpoint smack dab in the middle. Emerald's first phase is super weak compared to Ruby's, whereas Emerald's second phase is better than Ruby's second phase, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
So that's why they're both okay, because they both have pros and cons. And then it's a matter of how well you tolerate the cutscene every time. Because my favorite part about Sea of Sacrifice was no fucking cutscene. Listen, Byakuya, I had to play the cutscene. Suzaku, I had to play the cutscene. Seiryu, you don't actually play the cutscene, and it's kind of okay. It's just it's more like Zervan, where it's a really cinematic, just super attack. But it's a long cutscene to play every single time. And I'm just, it's not.
You're basing this on the fact that you have to do this 99 times.
I mean, I don't like doing that 10 times for the weapon. By the time I've done it 10 times to get the weapon, I'm like, oh my god, I'm so sick of this cutscene. I'm not a fan of the Here's the thing. I'm okay with like a 30 to 40 second cutscene that resets your cooldowns. This is literally a 5-minute fight followed by a 5-minute fight. And it means both of them kind of just don't really stand well together. Like Emerald's second phase, you completely abandon pretty much everything from the first phase minus, I think, 2 things. And it's, I don't know, it's just, I'm not a fan of the idea. It just doesn't pan out well for me. I don't mind a cutscene, but it's too much. It's just too much. That's it. There's other places I don't like cutscenes either, but this one's just it's worse, and it definitely plays a part that you have to do extremes as much. Savage once a week, cool. Maybe you might have to do a few pulls. And you have to do it a few times. All right, whatever. It just isn't working for me though, man. This isn't for EX trials in particular. This just isn't working. Don't worry, we've got some other parts to touch upon later.
Yeah.
But it's okay. Again, it's okay. Here's the thing. I still would rather do this 99 times over Byakuya. Because again, Byakuya, I have to play the cutscene. Yeah. And I will. I will do this 99 times. I've already committed to that. I need 97 more on Ether.
Have fun.
I will. I really hope I'm as lucky as you and win the fucking thing 4 runs in. Mr. has their mount already. Now are you going to go back and get the rest of them?
I have Ruby. I had to get Cidus Sacrifice.
You have Ruby? You have the only 2 annoying ones then. Then you have to do the rest. You have both of the annoying ones done. Titania and like Hades and all them. Hades is a little annoying, but at least you only have to do it half as many times.
Yeah.
I'm mad.
I mean, actually,
how come you don't fucking care and you get it in 4 tries and I care and it takes me 99? It's fucking desire sensor.
I was just there for the fucking weapon. It showed up and I rolled and I got it.
I've already lost 1. I lost it to Tadon Primal.
Ha.
I don't care about that one though, but I have lost 1 already. So, I'm used to the feeling, really. I'm used to it. I still have 1 whole other weapon to go. 1 whole.
That's exactly what it is. Desire sensor. If I've learned anything from Monster Hunter is to not fucking go in looking for it.
Yeah, especially if it's an attack jewel. I don't know how that is nowadays, to be fair. I haven't played in ages.
They're giving it out like fucking candy now, so who cares?
That's my memories of, yeah. Okay. You know how in Stormblood they had the door boss way too often, and everyone's like, okay, like, stop. That's kind of how I feel about cutscenes and fights now. It's like, all right, listen, it's okay if you do it once in a while, but you're really getting too comfortable with the idea. Just do some normal shit for once and make it cinematic as like, you know what? Ultimate has a giant cutscene in the like. All of the Ultimates have these like transformation cutscenes or cinematic moments.
And y'all thought that was the coolest fucking shit ever when you first got to it.
It's not a cutscene, Sly. It's not a checkpoint.
It is. It's not a checkpoint.
I can still play in 2 of those cutscenes. I actually don't like the Epic of Alexander's one as much. It's the coolest cinematically, but again, on repeat, I'm just sick of it. I don't mind transitions where the characters kind of have free reign, but when I just literally sit there and I'm just like, whatever, because then you can like prep buffs or think about timers or like you can like analyze what's happening in front of you. You can engage, or if you just can't stand standing still, you can jump all over the place. You can fucking Manderville dance. You can do whatever the fuck you want. On this, it's just like you're just on your knees and you're like, oh, and then all of a sudden you're like, okay, I'm fine, let's fight, and then it's stop.
Yeah.
I want to be in control. That's it. If you want to do these cinematic things, stop taking control away from us. It doesn't feel as good. Doesn't matter really, but it doesn't feel good. They're not gonna stop.
No, they're not. Absolutely. We need. I like a bit of theatrics in my fights. Like, you know,
I like it in normal mode when I do it once. Not when I do it back to back to back to back to back. We'll talk a little bit about that because there's that pop that comes up in another location in this patch. One I'm a bit more familiar with.
Yeah.
After this week. So Whirlit overall, solid thumbs up. Emerald not that exciting, but really easy to farm. If you've never done an EX trial, you really shouldn't have any trouble trying this one out. If it's going to be the first one to try. So some positives to take away from it. I don't even know what the weapons look like. I haven't looked. I have one, but I don't. It's kind of chunky, my chakrams.
It looks okay. Like, I'm not too... I don't hate it, but I'm not a fan of it either.
I couldn't tell you. I just know my chakrams look really chunky. They're not as cool as the bone rums, the bone chakrams that I need to get. Mm-hmm. Which I believe were tombstone weapons, if I'm recalling correctly. So I think they are. I'll need to get those.
Now seeing that we're talking about gear right now, you have a crafted set. That's what you use to get through Savage.
Right.
Now we talked a little bit about how they looked on, in picture and everything. Are you still a fan of yours? Because I made mine and I absolutely clamored back to what I had.
The aiming set is not my style. I'll just put it that way. The aiming set, not my style. I actually am okay with the healing set though. The healer set I'm wearing is pretty nice. The aiming set, not doing it. Not doing it for me.
Yeah. The maiming set wasn't hitting on nothing. It just looked plain.
I haven't really paid attention to the other sets though.
Yeah, I'll wait for the Soulsborne stuff and see if that tickles my fancy.
That'll probably tickle your fancy more. I presume the Soulsborne stuff will be tickly. It'll be tickling. And I glammed out of it pretty quick. I put my I progged on Primal, so that character's an Aura. So I was like, no, this is really not happening. So I put him in a Kieran's Osode and the previous crafted set headpiece was what I put him in. The 480, I think, 480 set.
Yeah, I'm just still rocking my Lubu gear. The Peacock gear.
Yeah, I don't. But on Ether, I still need to go Froghead. That's all that matters. At the end of the day, just Froghead it up, then I'll be a-okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so since I already started getting into it a little bit there, Eden. That's a solid finale. That's a pretty overall happy with the finale, spoiler free story wise.
Yeah. Felt really cathartic.
Yeah.
Wasn't expecting what happened, but
that's for the better sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised, I could say.
There's something really important that we can't talk about yet. Something immensely important that happens towards the very end that we cannot talk about yet, but oh boy. That is that's something.
Yep. Fuck, I hate that we can't talk about this shit.
I actually like trying to see how can I say exactly the thing I want to say.
How can we phrase what we're thinking about this without giving away anything? Man. Actually, some of the fights kind of answered certain questions I had about earlier Shadowbringer stuff.
Right?
And I'm glad it did. I'm really glad it did because we talk about it with Ethis, and he brings it up in Eorzevian. I'm like, who the fuck is this person? Oh.
Oh. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Like, whoa, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Good job, game.
Yeah. And the raid brings up very importantly that this feels very much like a Shadowbringers raid. One of the big things Coil left behind was the idea of the raid being a side story, but still really being main story. And it was the finale of 1.x. Oddly enough, Coil is the finale of something. It's just something that nobody can play anymore. And as much as it tries to tread that old ground, it's something that they never really recaptured in Alexander or Omega. Omega's part of the main story for a point. By the time we go and encounter him, it just takes on a whole life of its own, way too literally in a lot of ways with the callbacks that they do. Alexander, cool, iconic, and while it's paid dividends in the long run, it feels more like a main scenario raid now than it did then, thanks to the events of Shadowbringers. That payoff was really slow. And I'm glad that it has more of a payoff as time has gone on, because it just shows the staying power of it. But at the time, it just felt disconnected from Heavensward. It just happened in Heavensward. Whereas Eden has, from beginning to end, felt like a part of Shadowbringers. It's felt like the Coil to 1.0 equivalent of just Shadowbringers, all contained within Shadowbringers itself.
So yeah, I agree. I would love for 6.0 to kind of continue this tradition and kind of keep raid story, within, kind of contained with the expansion itself.
Yeah. And I felt like I don't think you have to do that every time. I don't think that Alexander not feeling like it was part of Heavensward was that bad, but we've often spoken about how the reason they've given to not actually putting the raids in the main story is because they don't want people to feel forced to do the 8-man normals. Even though they still kind of do it with other stuff. Yeah. And it wouldn't be surprised. This was as close as it feels because I don't think they'll ever go that route. So this is as close as it feels. There's nothing inherently wrong with the raid not being directly tied to the story, but it feels better when it feels closer to it. I think that's just, for me, the bottom line.
I wouldn't mind it, though. I really wouldn't mind it.
I wouldn't mind it either.
Because we've experienced it, so sure, why the hell not? Again.
And I think they're getting more and more comfortable with the idea anyway. We've seen there's a lot of quests that came with this patch. So there's all sorts of quests with all sorts of prerequisites. They're starting to require certain story. Obviously they made the Swap Devin Crystal Tower required for Shadowbringers, and I suspect we'll continue to see that with old story patches kind of being forced in to the future. Like, you need this in order to do this or that in order to do that, and them following up and giving us closure on things, which they've been doing a lot of in the last few patches, is attempting to get us to points of closure in from various elements of the story. And I appreciate that, because it finally feels like after years I'm not just asking more questions, things are being paid off. And that feels good as someone who's been a long-time player. So I'm okay with the idea of them doing normal raids in the story. They don't seem to be a fan of the idea. And so this will probably be as good as we get, in all honesty.
Very true. Very unfortunate. Now, from the you,
Content?
we're just gonna skip. Yeah, we're gonna skip normal because
Really?
yeah, let's skip it because you've seen everything. So why?
But seeing everything doesn't suddenly mean it isn't there.
It's okay. It's there. I can speak on normal. You can speak on savage. You've done both.
Yeah.
To do both.
I did it again today, as a matter of fact. I had to, because my ether character didn't have normal mode done, so I had to do it on my ether character.
How? I'll ask you from a savage standpoint because I haven't really started prog. I started a little bit of pug prog, and it's okay. How? As the closing chapter of this expansion's raid, how did it feel in comparison to Omega?
Just from the final chapter of Omega, specifically?
Yes.
Okay. That actually makes it a little more interesting. Going back to Omega to add precipice to this. Alphascape is the strongest tier for me in Omega. The final tier was by far the strongest. Chaos was by far their best first fight of the entire entire expansion. Midgard's armor frustrated the hell out of people. I think objectively, he was really well designed. He was definitely better designed than Chatternook. Catastrophe could come down to taste, but I think Midgard's armor is definitely better. Omega 011 is my favorite fight of all of Omega. Halicarnassus is a close second, which is also a third.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Halicarnassus is one of the best third bosses. Halicarnassus was better than both of the first two raid tiers of Eden for a third boss fight. Halicarnassus is one of their best third boss fights of the creator era. That's coming off Cruise Chaser, who's also a great third fight. So there's all sorts of positives going back to Omega, but for specifically Alphascape, it was a really strong showing, other than the very final boss. That was the weakest point, I think, in all of Alphascape. For a number of reasons.
Final.
Savage exclusive final. Yeah. It goes back on a lot of the kind of bad things about Stormblood's raid design. It foregoes a little bit of the randomness that's developed in Chaos. It undoes the whole. So 011 is a different rotation the whole way through. It just gradually introduces new mechanics. I think that's the best way to do fights in Final Fantasy XIV. Stormblood had a bad habit of you do the fight up to 50%, do one big mechanic, and then repeat it, and then beat the enrage. So basically,
agreed.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that design concept, and it was all over Stormblood. So that was where it really falls flat. It kind of falls back on the same problem. I think it also did it worse than God Kefka. I think God Kefka is my least favorite fight, but is the best example of doing the whole repeating thing, because you do about 80% of the fight, then repeat for the very end. So I think he just does it less. So he by nature does it a little bit better. But it falls flat there. I think this one wins the whole way through. The first fight, comparable to me fun-wise to Chaos. There's only one mechanic that's kind of frustrating for people, and it's not even that difficult, but it's very early in the fight, and it definitely is the thing that will put a stop to most people's Party Finder experiences, if anything at all. It's got some hilarious mechanics that you might get mad at screwing up, but it's gonna be funny every time it happens. And it just overall, it flows real well. It does sort of do the Stormblood repeat thing at one point, but it remixes them to try and make them more intriguing. Where you technically go back to the same phase, but how the events transpire in that phase kind of is remixed, and a few things are added in. That gives it a freshness that I think makes you go back and look at the old phase and how can I improve it in that phase so that it's also better in this phase. And so the knowledge carries over. 10, I think 10 is going to be, looking back when people are no longer glossy-eyed over the fresh raid tier, 10 will be the one people are least excited about, looking back. It's not even a bad fight. I think it just isn't as, I think it's more gimmicky than exciting. So once you get the gimmick, it's kind of just all right. You're kind of just going through the motions. And it's also going to be the one I think is the most hurt by gear, like meaning that it's laughable with gear. Like I think people are going to obliterate that encounter with gear to the point where it's even less enjoyable to do on any given week, especially if you're actually in a group that's wiping on it. And I still don't think it's a bad fight. I still think it's... What other fights are we comparing it to? Voidwalker? It's kind of... Yeah, it's on that same level as...
Catastrophe?
No. I'm thinking specifically in Shadowbringers. For Omega, it's definitely better than Midgardsormr. I think it'll be better for most people, because Midgardsormr a lot of people hated. But I think they just hated the Party Finder. Yeah. They didn't hate Midgardsormr. I think they hated the Party Finder.
Midgardsormr wasn't bad.
No, he wasn't.
Midgardsormr wasn't bad.
No, he really wasn't. But people didn't like him. I know some people just didn't like the music. It's Midgardsormr's theme, but people just don't like. Some people just didn't like it because of that. This I don't think does something that's that much more creative music-wise, but I think people will have less of a problem with this than Midgardsormr. I think it's a good fight overall. I just think it is, if I were to put a weak point, the second fight would be the weakest one. And not by a large margin. It's not like that much worse.
Fair.
The third fight is the best third fight in the expansion by far, which is a low bar to be fair. But it is a high quality encounter. It is fast, it is flashy, it is exciting. It is an all-around well-designed encounter that borrows ideas from a previous raid tiers and things. People be like, oh, that's just like that other fight, but harder. And it is, but it still has its own flavor on
it. Gimmick was fun.
Yeah, someone in the chat said Memoria. And Memoria is not the fight I'm thinking of. There's a fight further back that it reminds me more of, and I think that's very on purpose. It just works. That fight just works, and it's way more interesting than the other third fights that we've had. If I had to compare it to anything, it'd be Voidwalker. All the way back in E2. Which was a solid second fight, and this feels like it's slightly evolved from Voidwalker. So, a win, a big win from a development standpoint. I foresee no complaining about that fight. It's friendly to uptime. And that's something I kind of forgot. They made the hitboxes on all the bosses way bigger this raid tier.
They did.
Yeah. And
this is a pretty melee-friendly raid tier.
Yes. There are some things that are not, some strategies that are not. But the hitboxes being as big as they are has made it very possible to do most mechanics without really having to sacrifice a whole lot. And I feel like they deliberately made the hitboxes as big as they did for that exact reason. At least for the most part. Then you get to the final fight in Savage. It's a win. There's a win and a loss here on the final fight.
Okay. All right.
Spoiler alert, I'm not going to tell you who the boss is. I'm not going to spoil that or anything. I've got plenty of videos, whatnot. But I will say it is a door boss into a final boss. It is a checkpoint after beating the final boss, after beating the first boss.
How'd you feel about that?
Man, do I not feel good about it after 16 hours a day. Oh, man. Yeah. So let me break this down. The door boss, that's the best door boss of all of them. Of MNF, of Faust even, of X-Death. And really, for the longest time, X-Death for me has been the pinnacle. It was a short fight, less than 5 minutes. It was machine gun mechanics. I love to this day. X-Death is the pinnacle door boss for me, but this was door boss Savage. This was door boss ultimate, if anything, because this encounter is 8.5 minutes long. It might as well have been its own turn, essentially, its own entire instance. Mm-hmm. It's, in my opinion, tougher than the final boss. And it's really good. It's got some of the things people liked about Seed of Sacrifice, the semi-randomness with still being able to recognize all of the patterns and what needs to be done in any given scenario. The fight still flows the same way, though. It just takes little liberties here and there that makes every pull unique without making it insurmountable. And it's got, for week 1, tight DPS check, which is fairly normal for week 1 door bosses. And solid music, solid arena use. That's something I got to get into entirely separately. The arena is used fantastically as an element of the fight. And I think anyone who's actually played all the raid tiers will like this one the most. Personally. They'll like this boss the most. The checkpoint and then into the final boss, really solid, but you know how sometimes people start to unravel encounters more and more, and then it kind of like, it gets to the point where you start to see things that are like, wow, that makes things a million times easier. Oh my god, that's so much. Because the second boss is only 30 seconds longer than the door boss. The door boss is 8 minutes, 27 seconds. The final boss is 8 minutes, 57 seconds. So you just have about 17, and what is that? It's 8.5 minutes, not 9. You have like 18 minutes approximately of boss fight split down the middle. And that means that the final boss is actually pretty short. Kind of like Emerald, how Emerald split down the middle and you have 2 really short boss fights. It's kind of like that, but they're just more Savage length-esque. Fun boss, I have no qualms with it, but I do think the door boss is harder. Which is good news for the party finder, because it means that there's a light at the end of that tunnel and it's not rampant. That's it. There's a light at the end of the tunnel for this one. People won't feel as bad pugging this as they did Shiva. My honest opinion. There is Sly. It's not that funny. Relax.
Oh, God.
It's not that funny. There is a light rampant-esque thing that happens. I don't think it's nearly as bad as light rampant, but there is one mechanic in the door boss that will be a bit of a problem. It's actually a really simple mechanic to understand and solve. It's not like light rampant where people were just like, but it's not going to feel good when people screw it up. That's all. That's what I'll say the most. There's going to be some complaints about it in the party finder, especially if there's going to be strats that people really don't like on that one, without a doubt.
Oh, God. Is this going to be one of those things where there are like 4 different types of strats in PF?
So actually here's there's going to be what I'm going to call it intended strat. Because there's actually a very clearly intended way they want you to do it, but it's also very deliberately not the only way. So there's room to explore. Then there's slightly riskier in one way, but safer in another way strat. Then there's going to be uptime. And then there's going to be optimized uptime. I can order, because it's just a mechanic that uses geometry. Any mechanic that uses geometry can be manipulated to be made easier and easier or more and more efficient as time goes on. People will find it. It's the bottom line. They will. But none of those strategies are like bad. Some of them will just feel worse for certain people.
It's not that the strategies are ever bad. It's just...
Let me rephrase that.
From a PF...
Yes. So you're more concerned about the variance in knowledge. There's less variance in knowledge. It's not like if you don't know this other strat, you can't do it. Like, you're fucked. You can't learn it. It's really clear and obvious with the visuals what is working, what won't work. Whether it be spots on the arena you can stand as clear indicators of ways to do strategies, or just the punishment for mistake, or the number of options you have in a given scenario. They're limited. Just enough that I don't think this will be that much of a problem. It's just that there's enough geometry that people will science the shit out of it until they come up with something that is god tier gigabrain. Like, no one thought of it. They were doing it fine without it, but now people are going to want to start doing it, kind of thing. And I can't wait. We did a kind of strat like that. There was an intended way, and we went, that's kind of dangerous. Let's do this, which is also kind of dangerous, but we'll figure it out. It's dangerous in a different way. But the final boss, man, final boss just pulls on the heartstrings. I'll say that much. And it's really cool. It's a really, really cool boss. So that's one that I think that people are going to want to definitely get to experience. And I got to say, there's two things about this raid tier that are improved above all else. One, and this I've already alluded to, the boss arenas are so good for giving you clear indicators on how mechanics work without showing you AoEs. There are so many mechanics that can be marked just by looking at the arena, looking down and going, okay, that mechanic will hit exactly those patterns on the arena. So even though you don't have AoEs, the information that you can derive from it lets you, understand what you've done wrong or how you can do it better. Two is the, oh shit, what was going to go for the second one? Fuck, I remembered where I was going because I was going to lead with this one and then I forgot. I might have to come back to this one. But there's another really major thing about how satisfying some of them are to do correctly. E10 has one of the most satisfying mechanics to do correctly. I think it's the weakest fight, but it has some very satisfying stuff, as does E12. There's a lot of stuff that when you get it, you're like, fuck yeah! You're just excited because it looks awesome. Whereas E9 is more like, oh, thank God. You go through the platform phase where they can fall, and you're like, oh, please, please, please. You get past, you're like, okay, all right, we're good.
Yeah.
This is Shadowbringer's best raid tier. First impression is its best raid tier. Normal mode,
fair enough.
Not so much the case. E12 normal is their worst, final normal fight, which is not saying a whole lot. I think Titan is still the best one. I think this is actually the worst normal mode final fight. And not just because of a certain cinematic event that takes place. It's just really dull.
I'm glad certain things didn't translate over from what I've seen.
From normal to savage. They actually do, but in a much more digestible manner. So there's a long transition in E12 normal, but you play it. You have to you go through certain steps, and you have to play through the cinematic in a sense. You still have to do mechanics, kill bad guys, everything you'd expect to do in normal gameplay. It's just extended because you're playing a transition. All that transition actually happens in Savage, or most of it does. It's just made into part of the fight instead of it being pulled out and do this long transition with all this cinematic flavor. It's just here are the same types of things you saw in normal, but in Savage it's just part of this ongoing encounter. So translated well. It's actually one of the best normal to Savage mechanic translations I've seen. And I'm glad they did it. They did it as well as they did. But man, those arena markings on the floor, dude. Oh my God, they make figuring out what to do so much better. I can't applaud them enough from a design standpoint for this raid tier. Whoever did this, I want them to do more. I want them to do an ultimate, because they'll probably be very similar in that regard. Probably be a little more cryptic, but like the amount of information they give you without giving you the answer it's satisfying from a progression standpoint. And I like it.
Fair enough.
So that's my opinion, long-winded opinion on the Savage tier.
So 5 thumbs up from you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the happiest with a raid tier I've been since Creator. Overall. Creator just 9. 9 was the only stinker for me. If it wasn't for 9, that would still be among one of my favorite raid tiers, since they've gone to this not game-ending Savage difficulty.
I feel like Creator was a bit divisive in terms of its opinion for most people.
Looking back, like first impressions were pretty good for the most part. It did not age well. It aged like molasses,
Right.
even in the patch that it was there, because it was so skippable.
Right.
Shadowbringers has managed to make encounters that are essentially the same, where there's entire parts that are skippable, without making you feel like you're just missing part of the boss. Like a really good Fearer group from E6 Savage could kill it just after Conflagration or Conflag Strike. And that means you skip the 3 of the hardest parts. Voidwalker, you could, in E2, you could skip all the trios at the end if you were doing a really solid group. But you never feel like you're just missing the fight, the whole fight. Whereas Alexander, you basically tried your best to ignore the final phase. Which is, as like in Prague, like your goal was to skip as much as the last phase as possible. That doesn't happen here. You're gonna skip. You might skip some of the more annoying parts, but you'll still have seen everything. The more annoying parts are usually just a machine gun of those things that you've already seen. Or stuff like Lapis Skip in 11, where if you DPS them low enough, you just skipped the entire ad phase. You don't have anything like that. That's the design they've gotten away from since Creator. So Creator didn't age very well. Was the only problem it had. They've had a lot of raid design that hasn't translated well. Bro, Second Coil has not aged well. Nail has aged well, especially because of Ultimate. But things like Melusine and Rafflesia have not aged well. They really haven't. You're muted.
No, I was saying, don't get me started on Rafflesia.
Don't get me started. I just did Turn 6 Savage again like a month ago.
For what?
To prep for this. To just do something, because a lot of people hadn't beaten it. So it's like we just said, let's prog something that people haven't progged, and we'll prog it blind, and that way it simulates raid. Like actual getting together for raid night kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah. So there's, these fights, they're going to be kind of memeable in probably like a month and a half, 2 months, but I don't think anyone's going to be mad doing them. They're not going to be like, fuck, not this again. They're just going to be like, okay, whatever.
Possibly E9?
No, E9 people are going to be grateful. People are really going to want to do it, kill E9 as fast as possible. The problem is the part that's the worst for people is probably the part people won't skip. It's just there's a section towards the end that's reminiscent of a previous phase. Phase 3 essentially repeats as Phase 6. And that leads into the Enrage. People are 100% going to try to skip that as much as they can. Because people may not like the Phase 2 and 5, but 3 and 6 are hilarious. Absolutely. I saw a great picture on Reddit of a bunch of Fall Guys characters in the Phase 3 and 6. And I was like, Yep. Yeah. No, that's right. That's 100% accurate as to how that phase goes. Big win, though. Big win for anyone who's going to be raiding until the end of the expansion. And then Ultimate. There's still an Ultimate to come. We also have a 48-man Savage in 2 months. It right now is a good time to be an endgame player, especially from now until the next expansion. It is an excellent time to be an endgame raider. To end on a raid tier that's this good, with more things that are going to be happening in the coming months between Ultimate and Delubrum and anyone who's a fan of Blue Mage, if you are looking forward to doing Omega again. I mean, that's a small audience, but it is still an audience, so I'm just tacking it
Sure.
Yeah, tacking it in there for me. I'm looking forward to seeing you.
Okay.
When are you going back in to Savage? Because I'm actually looking forward to seeing you go through some of these so you can get a first-hand feel for them.
Probably be going back tomorrow night.
Okay.
Tomorrow night. Yeah.
Good. I want to see how you feel when you get through it after, because you've done most of the raid tiers, and I don't remember what Savages you haven't beaten, if any.
Happy just wants to see me suffer.
Because I don't remember, because you pug it all. Sometimes you pug it, you don't pug it on stream. So I'm not sure, like, where, I can't remember.
Yeah, that was pretty much most of last year, too. I just, like, it was just really, really late night clears first. Because I really hit it, like, last year, like, the first 2 weeks, I really hit it hard. And then I got tired.
And then Shiva
stuff started coming.
Yeah.
And then stuff started coming out. I'm like, fuck it. If I can't get it, like, I'll try to get it fucking later. I never had time to go back and get Shiva.
Yeah. I think you'll get through this one. I'm confident about this one.
Yeah.
You know what I'm not confident about?
Titan Unreal.
I don't like that you knew that's where... I don't like that you knew.
I could tell by the tone of your voice.
I don't like how you knew
that. We all have that inner sense when you're about to bring that shit up. We all have that. Oh, you're about to go in on Titan Unreal.
Oh, Haps is about to bring up something. Why do I hear stomps? What's that stomping noise?
What's that constant fucking stomping I hear in my head? Yeah, it's Titan.
Oh, man.
So, Titan Unreal. Haven't had the chance to do this yet. I dread doing this in PF.
Don't dread it.
Oh no, it's comedy gold.
Oh, it is absolutely comedy gold. Absolute comedy gold.
All right. So walk us through your Titan Unreal experience.
So I got both my clears today. A lot of people who either never did it synced, so they actually had to like learn it, or at least like they could only take what they did like unsynced and like try to apply it, or people who just didn't play in that era, so they just had to adapt to shit mechanics. And I don't think I've ever wiped on a fight so much, yelled so much, and still not actually been mad that people were dying. Because it was so funny. It was so fucking funny. Every time you see that one person go off, you're like, nope, all right, got it, all right, we got one less. I hope you guys have cooldowns for this, because all right, nope, those guys aren't dying. Oh, the jailers aren't dying. Oh, nope, the guy got thrown off by a landslide. Nope, all right. I broke the jail. They broke the jail while the landslides were going. Oh, that's not going to work. Oh, they got hit by the bomb there. Oh, got clipped by the bomb.
You have said every single thought I had going into this. That's basically it. Haps has basically said every single thought I had in my head about a Titan Unreal experience.
But the thing is, it's actually a lot of fun. It's genuinely not frustrating. It's fun, and it's funny. Like, I think this could have no rewards, and I would play it just for the fucking giggles. All right? Like, that's how good it is. On a more serious side, this fight actually shows its age in more ways than I thought it would. So, these old encounters they're bringing up to Unreal, they were made in a time when, let's be honest, the development team hadn't really figured everything out yet, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But more importantly, they were initially designed around level 50 abilities. That didn't show that much in Shiva. It shows a lot more in Titan.
How so?
Everyone having knockback resist as an ability. It works on upheaval. It works on upheaval. And it also works on landslides if you can survive the landslide.
Yeah, I was about to ask, like...
You will die.
Upheaval more than likely.
But you'll stay in the fight. So, there's that. And to be fair, in 2.0, Mana Wall made you take 0 damage, made you not go off from landslides. Black mages just used to eat landslides. So it's not that surprising that it works on them. But the tools for that weren't available back then. So things like people going off from upheavals, people having no plan for like one undodgeable landslide situation. There's solutions to that now. Amount of AoE damage that's available for jails, the amount of abilities that can just instantly blow something up in an area makes them disintegrate. Absolutely. The actual breaking out of the jails in time, as long as people actually swap targets, they go quick. The only thing the game is not prepared for is unscripted tank busters nowadays. That shit is so frightening again. And they made Mountain Buster. That is still the absolute scariest ability in the whole fucking fight, and for good reason. So, it's shown its age in some ways, and it's shown that sometimes your elders aren't to be fucked with when it comes to Mountain Busters. Because they reminded you what a tank buster is. Because Shiva doesn't have tank busters also. So we didn't really know how that was going to go. She just auto attacks and gets stronger and stronger. But no, Titan mountain busts. He busts mountains big time. And that shit hurts. We had to assign a healer to each tank because if there was ever a point where one of us needed to AoE heal and the other one was doing the same thing, the tank felt our mistake. And we felt bad for them. You need to do Titan Unreal. You need to do it.
Oh, I plan on it. I plan on it just strictly for comedy. Like, not even trying to get anything out of Fox Hollows. I'm just gonna be there for comedy. I just want to see some funny shit happen.
No, that's what'll happen too. I can promise you that. And there's also some of the same janky things. There's one part of the fight where randomly a tank buster comes before another mechanic, and it's random. There's no way to know if it's gonna be tank buster mechanic tank buster. The tanks don't appreciate that very much because they're like, I'm gonna pop a cool. Oh, well. Or even worse, it's, I was going to pop my cooldown there because they think it's going to come later. But then they forget that it can come later. And the mechanic that comes before the tank buster is bombs dropping. So they start moving to dodge the bombs. And they're like, all right, guys, here I come. The whole party. It's good. It's so funny. Oh man!
And these aren't even aren't even really any more 2.0 horror stories. It's like
this is Shadowbringers
2.0 horror. Yeah, this is Shadowbringers. This is comedy now. 2.0. We were. Fuck this fight. Seriously, fuck this fight. Now it's just everything is just hilarious.
Yeah. All this just to play a mini game where you fucking flip over squares. You're mountain busting the squares. 11 of them. This is a fight I don't want to go away after 17 weeks. Okay, so another thing is people like to bring up Titan Extreme and lag. Titan Extreme didn't have the lag. That was hard mode. They got rid of the 300 built-in MS in 2.1 when Titan Extreme came out. Now, the servers being in Canada is another story. But the built-in 300 MS... Oh, there was no EU servers back then. EU people trying... Yeah, there was no EU servers back then.
Yeah. You're right.
Yeah?
You're right. Holy shit.
Yeah.
I'm trying... When did EU servers get implemented? I'm trying to remember.
Heavensward. They said that they were opening the MOG station to pay for the EU servers, which came out in Heavensward.
Jesus. I'm getting old.
Oh, and PS3 players too. That may not have been latency. That was a different level of problem. No PS4 version yet, even. It just wasn't around yet.
Yeah, I came in on PS4. And thank God. And PS4 at the time wasn't even that bad.
I don't like the face you made when you said that. Like, it wasn't that bad.
I'm just glad I'm on PC now.
As you should be.
Yeah.
Speaking on the Fox Hollows, they buffed it this patch. We went over that in our patch note video with Burn when he surprised us with that. And I can say that those Aloha, the door, fucking door, the cat. He's had a rough week, just like I have. The buffs are awesome. So the swords are 15 now. The low end boxes are 25. The high end boxes are 35, and they didn't change the fox. I think people are just gonna go for sword and box and just ignore the fox, unless they like otherwise like screw up and they can't get both the sword and the box. Because if you get the sword and the box on both of your retellings every week, you're minimum getting 80 leaves a week. If you get a fox, throw another 100 in there. But I used to go weeks of getting 25. I went literally like 3-4 weeks in a row, 25, 35, 35. I get 80 in a week now. That's awesome. That's so many more leaves.
So what you're saying is you're looking forward to doing retellings every week.
More so than I was, yeah. It's gone a long way. And I don't think this is the end of that, because they're going to keep adding more rewards sooner or later. You know, they added, I think, like 4 rewards this time. They put some old rewards in there. They put, like, Ixion and a minion that's actually from somewhere else in the game. The fox is still exclusive there. The minion is the sand fox. He's still there. But they also added a mount that was... They reskinned a mount that was previously PvP exclusive. I think it's the No, I don't think it's Astrologos. I think it's... What's the second Rival Wings map they did?
The train?
Yeah, the one with the train. What was that called? Man, you can tell we just don't give a fuck, huh? Gorge, Hidden Gorge.
We really don't.
Hidden Gorge.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's that mount. It's basically like a giant construct suit. I think it's like the Kobold ones or something.
Yeah, the mining one.
Yeah. The mining suit. Yeah, it's like that, but it's like it's like reskinned to be like a different color.
Yeah.
And I'm a fan of that because I will never get that PvP mount. Oh, Robot is Frontlines. Really? Oh, maybe that was Ansal Hakar. Oh, yeah, Ansal Hakar. I think that was Ansal Hakar for that mount. I don't care. I don't need it. I'm doing Titan.
Yeah.
I like how their choices are like, well, you can do PvP. You're like, it's not a good idea. What else you got? Or you can do Titan. And I'll be like,
I don't really have to do Titan. Do I really have to do Titan? Because I don't want to do PvP.
Like, listen, we just wanted to make sure you were PvPing either way. Because that's what Unreal Titan in the Party Finder is. It's PvP, but fun.
It's PvP. Neat.
Yeah. Foxhole is good. I look forward to it. I look forward to doing it.
Yeah.
Man, you want to know something we can't talk about that I really want to talk about?
What's that?
Void quests. We can't talk about it at all because there's no combat content. It's all story. Because I've done my Void quests. And that was also better than Nier.
I mean, it's a low bar, Happy. What were you expecting?
It to be better than Nier. And I was right. That's one prediction correct for me. Do your fucking role quests, guys. Do your fucking role quests, please. Yeah, the storyline. The storyline of the Fox Hollows is better than Nier. All right, it's a low bar.
It's a really low bar.
Oh man.
All right. Besides the Void Quest, what else is there?
There's classic mode.
I have not. Okay. All right. Let me
look. I mean, if you look on the stream, I'm permanently in classic mode. You can't see it on this, but on the stream, I'm permanently in classic mode. I'm in classic mode every week.
Here's my issue with people. Not classic mode, not light mode. People.
But how?
Wait. So we get this in the live letter. Same thing for light mode. Yo, that looks cool. That looks cool as shit. I can't wait to try that. Classic mode hurts my eyes. I don't like it anymore. Like, the shit did not change from the fucking live letter. I swear to God, nothing changed. It looks the exact fucking same. And you're wishy-washy over it. Same shit. I can't trust none of y'all. I
love classic mode.
I love classic mode.
So
y'all motherfuckers bitch when I had fucking light mode. Like, it's too bright, Sly. Oh my God.
Well, light mode is an abomination, to be fair.
No, it's not. Oh my God. People were like, light mode looks okay in the live letter. In the live letter, people were like, you know what? That actually looks better. That actually looks okay.
All right, Sly,
let me get it in game.
Sly, just here's the thing. Light mode, you know how I made the example earlier with moldy bread and the filet mignon? Light mode, it's like the moldy filet mignon between the ultimate bread of dark mode and classic mode. It's the reverse.
Y'all motherfuckers got issues.
It's like if you were to order a filet mignon and you got a cube steak. That's light mode.
Y'all got problems.
Listen, I ate cube steaks as a kid. I just outgrew them at some point. I went back when I was a kid. I didn't have dark mode. Everything was light mode. Now everything's better.
I'm just saying, y'all motherfuckers got problems.
I never said light mode looked good, so I'm just consistent, Sly.
You're consistent. Everybody else is wishy-washy as shit. Again, we're gonna probably get another theme, and it's gonna look good in the live letter, and then y'all are gonna say it's complete ass in the game.
I think there's a better lesson to be taken from it, less so that we're gonna get another theme. I think they just need to rework the programming for the UI and just make it more customizable in general. I know some people who would like classic, but their problem is like the hue and the saturation on their monitor isn't so great, and they're not gonna change their whole monitor just for that. So
allow them to change hue of classic, change the color of classic,
transparency, hue, saturation, anything like that. I think the feedback I'm taking is more options would be better, which I think is fair. Like, some people they saw it on the live letter, it didn't look as bright in their face, and they see it on their monitor, running at God knows how many hertz and what their fucking settings are compared to it being shown in a slideshow and whatnot. At least they didn't show classic mode on a piece of paper.
Yeah, at least they didn't have like a sheet of paper. Like, I'm not sure what the fuck that looks like.
Yeah. So I think because, and then you know what the ironic part is, and this brought up in the chat, a lot of old Final Fantasies let you do this in their menus, even in their classic menus, they let you do this. So I think that's the bigger lesson to be taken away. Less about people being upset with it, more people just wanting it, but also wanting the kind of settings that came with it. Because I know I always made adjustments to my UI in the old games. I would adjust the darkness or the transparency. I did all that all the time in the games that would allow it. So I'm perfectly okay with that feedback. I think that's a reasonable level of feedback to have. I do think that they could have some more fun. Yeah, Reginald's like, yeah, just let me do like a chocobo pattern. You could do like a bomb pattern, or like just make it funny or frilly or things. I think there's a lot of room to explore, and I think they're starting to, and I hope they find a more customizable method with which to develop the UI. I'm sure there's technical debt behind doing that. I'm sure they have to hard code all of this. There's nothing. What's the word I'm looking for? Nothing. Not compartmental. What's fuck. Chat knows. Chat's gonna know the word I'm looking for. It's dude, brain. Come on, modular. There you go. Nothing modular about its code. Yeah. So I'm sure all the code is not very flexible for that. And if they can rework it, I think they can make something that's good, would be very much appreciated.
Okay.
But I love classic mode. I'm not complaining.
I do too.
I love it from a colorblind standpoint. I've never had an easier time reading my menu. In all honesty, the difference between the colors and the saturation and everything does a lot for my eyes. Like it helps me a lot. A lot of people notice when I turn on colorblind mode, it just turns into yellow and purple land. This is kind of like it in a sense. It brings about a lot of the same things as to why that helps me with my color blindness. So, that's another reason I like it. That's a reason very exclusive to me. Now, if I turn it on with colorblind mode on, that's a different story. That's a disaster waiting to happen.
Pretty. To me, it just looks pretty. I like it.
I like it too.
I liked it in the live letter. I like it now.
I'm glad we finally have 2 good modes. I'm amazed you
Shut up.
Okay, there it is. Before I cut you off about the modes, where were you about to go? I think I know, but where were you about to go with the conversation?
Really, one of the only things I have yet to do, and I'm doing that tomorrow as well. The shifting oubliettes. Have you done any maps?
No, I have not yet. That was not the direction I was going to go, but good call. I need to get on that.
Yeah.
Because I'm always down for some maps. I just have a lot of work to do over the next few weeks, and the shifting oubliette is not on that. Yeah, it's not on that list, unfortunately. But it's got to be. It's got to be, because I love maps, and any reason to do maps is a good reason for me.
Oh, yeah.
I was more so going to say we skipped over Matoya's Relict, which, while we can't talk about the story elements, we can still talk about the dungeon.
A nice, fun, short dungeon.
They're assholes, the developers of this one.
Why?
So, Sly, would you say it's a reasonable thing to do a dungeon the first time around with trusts, just because they banter and it's kind of comfy and whatnot? Would you say that's a somewhat reasonable approach?
Depends on who you are. I mean, if you have, a good FC and you have, people who are like, hey, I want to join you. I'm like, fine, come on in. Other than that, if not, yeah, sure, trust.
Have you done this dungeon with trusts?
I have not.
So, they didn't think about this when they designed this dungeon with trusts. So, the first and the third boss are fine. If anything, the third boss, the trusts are too smart when it comes to the knock-up section and then landing back down at the bottom. The second boss, there's a mechanic where you're supposed to get hit by water spouts and get shot up to another platform. None of them do it until you do it, because otherwise they would go up there, kill the ads, and then you die down below because the water spouts stop. So you know what happens? They stand still, do nothing the whole time, and you're just like, all right, I guess I'll just dodge these water spouts. So there's context in the dungeon. You walk over water spouts on the way there. You can kind of divine it. But they don't help you at all. So I'm like dodging the water spouts. All of a sudden the water spouts stop. And on the last water spout, one of my trusts got hit. And then they got launched up onto the platform. And I saw it and I was like... I was literally Wile E. Coyote with the sucker sign immediately. Just as soon as that happened. So... yeah. That wasn't great. This is the first time I've wiped in a dungeon in a long time. So, yeah. That was fucked up.
But funny.
It was funny. It was... I was like, yo, I'm gonna be... You guys keep saying I'll never figure this shit out. Man, y'all just don't know. I just beat Savage, all right? I beat E12. Do you think I can't figure this shit out right now? And I'm like, what? You guys just dodged the water spouts. And then I was like, instantly regret. That was like Ultimate Legend, by the way, kind of moment right there. And it was very applicable.
Was it like Woken?
No, think of it more like, imagine if it, well, I guess kind of, but not entirely. Imagine if it was like you have played this game for years. You know all the you've seen a ton of mechanics. You can recognize them at an instant. You see a tower, you know to stand in it. You see a big tower, you know it's probably tanks. You see an earth shaker, you know it's probably a line AoE. You know, you see like you see it all, and it's like you have this sixth sense, this third eye. And then imagine somebody who has no fucking idea what they're doing and gets hit by everything, and that's now the person who has done the mechanic correctly. They're like, oh fuck, I didn't dodge that water spout. Wait, what's going on up here? So
the biggest debate.
Yep. And again, there are context clues in the dungeons to let you know that it's probably done that way. It's kind of fucked up that the trusts don't in any way. Here's what the trust should do. One of them should go up to show you can do it, which is kind of what happened to me. And then the other two can stay down until you do it. Not what happened, though. Solid dungeon otherwise.
Do you think that'll get fixed in
no
patch?
No.
Okay.
So I think it's just one of those. You realize you fucked up, and now you won't happen again.
They're gonna solely rely on you to know to go up to the cloud every time.
Well, yeah, you might fuck it. Here's the thing: you do with players, you probably won't fuck it up. Like now, after a week goes by, you'll almost certainly get, yeah. In trusts, though, yeah, that'll probably happen.
Yeah, I agree. Really fun dungeon, really short.
Yeah.
In comparison to most of the dungeons we've gotten.
It wasn't really like Hawk Manor, like they said either, because it was like Hawk Manor was. How do I describe this? You go through it, you wrap around the first boss room to go enter it through the back, then you double back and go downstairs, where you have to loop around the bottom to get back here. The way they intend you to do it is for you to go back up the stairs, cut through the main room, and then go upstairs. You can just return to the entrance. Here, it's you beat a linear section, they teleport you back to the start, you beat the linear section, turn you back to the start. So it didn't really achieve at all kind of what they said it will remind you of Hawk Manor. Even though I kind of understood what they meant, it's still just, it feels like it's still run-of-the-mill, pretty much.
Yeah. So, good dungeon, not, special.
No, I think it's actually a step down from the last couple of dungeons that we've gotten.
So you think it's a step down from the Hero's Gauntlet?
Yeah, I think it's a step down from Hero's Gauntlet, which comes with the gravitas of being the final dungeon of like the expansion, in a sense, of the expansion story. It gets an added gravitas for that. I think some of the other dungeons we've gotten to, this one had a lot of wasted space, if that makes sense. It's genuinely a long run.
You mean the...
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of it's a lot of running in this. Like it's a lot of space that just kind of goes unused, if that makes sense. For the sake of spectacle, probably, but it's fortunately saved by the baller ass theme that is playing in the back, and then Insatiable kicks in 3 times, as it does with every dungeon.
Yep.
But I do think it's a step down dungeon wise. It's just saved by the theme and a couple of funny moments.
I'm gonna say that it's on par with Heroes Gauntlet, just strictly for a fun factor, and length. Like that, those two kind of put it to me on even terms with Heroes Gauntlet.
Okay. It doesn't for me, but okay. That's all I got for that.
Yeah.
Oh, man. As for other features, there's a ton of things I didn't really dabble in. Collectability, obvious collectors, crafting change, gathering changes. Obviously, I don't touch too often. One thing that I have my greatest disappointment in this patch. I do have, and believe it or not, it's not near, because disappointment implies that I was expecting something. So,
just going in on near, right? Jeez.
Well, I need to, because here's the thing. If I say it's my biggest disappointment, to be like worse than near, and I'm like, no, I need to clear the table on this one.
Just going in. All right.
The fucking weapon cases, you can't fucking put anything in them. You can't put weapons and armor. You can put tabletop items.
He was literally angry over a weapon case.
Yeah. It's fucked up. I'm upset. I was ready to deck my whole fucking apartment out with all these fucking weapons I've collected over the years.
Yep.
It's just tabletop items and shit. That's why we were seeing shit like the carbuncle and whatnot. I was like, oh, it looks like a little Mog station. Because it is a little Mog station. They bought those things from the Mog station. They just put them in there.
I feel you.
They called them weapon racks in 5.2. Where's my weapon racks?
Doing good there, buddy?
I'm upset.
You okay?
My greatest disappointment was this.
I can tell. Wow. Anything else disappoint you like this, or were you good?
I haven't played Monk yet, so I can't comment on that. I don't have an opinion on it. So, to be determined?
Yeah. Well, you, I'm guessing you're gonna, I guess on what your main, you're gonna do Monk in Eden?
Yeah, I'll probably do a bit of Monk in Eden. I don't see why not.
Yeah.
I'll probably like it, to be honest, but I'm not going to say I'm going to like it without playing it, because that would be dumb.
Well, again, they answered your questions. They answered your concerns that you had, with prelims, well, with actual patch notes. But yeah, they answered your questions on certain things.
Sly, somebody did bring up another disappointment from the patch.
Oh, God.
I'm going to have to talk into the camera for this one.
Okay.
Party Finder. Listen.
Mm-hmm.
People like to disagree on ideas, on strategies, on ways to get things done.
Uh-huh.
But if you break up into 2 groups of 4 and run a fucking half circle on Emerald Weapon to pop those orbs, you will disappoint me beyond
I'm leaving the party.
any belief.
I'm leaving the party. I feel like that is the dumbest shit ever for fucking orbs. Hey, let's run around and let's go into 2 light parties and I'm so glad people in PF are taking it upon themselves to put in their PFs. Seriously, I leave for 2 hours and people are still putting 4-4 parties in PF. The fuck is wrong with y'all? Seriously, what the fuck is wrong with y'all? That's the dumbest shit I've ever seen. Don't fucking do it. Please.
I made a party finder earlier that was 4 groups of 2, and I put 4 asterisk 2. 4 times 2. That's my shorthand for it. Yeah.
Here's your problem. You put the number 4 in there.
Yeah. No, that's where my story goes. Somebody joins my party finder and says, is 4 2 pairs? And I said, yes. And he's like, okay, thank God. And then I was like, in this party finder, we prefer good ideas. And he's like, that's what I'm talking about. And I'm like, yup. And then I realized why people do 4-4. Because I then did it with
It's
pairs.
easier to mitigate.
Yeah. The first few times I did it, we took the 1 hit and we went down to like 18,000 health. And I'm like, Where the fuck? I literally didn't lose any health, so I'm like, I'm going Scholar. Because we were double White Mage, I'm like, I'm going Scholar. I'm removing this as a problem. I'm going Scholar for Emerald Weapons strictly because of that. Because I will literally Seraph, crit, deploy low, Sacred Soil for the second. Like, I will do all that every time, and we will be fine. But, double White Mage, I'm going to pass on that, in all honesty. And we literally, I think we didn't even lose health when I swapped the Scholar. We literally, like, we had the shields, and then we just didn't take any damage. I also demanded my party pop defensives, too, because I'm like, literally, nothing else happens for the entire next 9.5 minutes. You're going to wipe in 5 minutes. Just go ham, please. Freely use tank invulns, Mitt. There's nothing to save anything for in this fight. Just dump everything every time, please. So yeah, please don't do 4-4. Please don't do 4-4.
If it even says 4-4, I'm not even joining that party. Sorry.
I'm just making my own
I'm
party
done anyway, so yeah. I'm done anyway, so I don't give a fuck. But even still, like, if my friends wrote me into helping them for a emerald and the party leader says we're doing 4-4, we are leaving that party. We're making our own. Or we are civilized.
We are civilized, good people who do not do 4-4.
Right.
Yeah, don't even say anything. Just leave. That's it.
Mm-hmm. That's it. Just fucking leave.
And you want to know what's funny? Someone brought this up. Thank God it's only like 30 seconds into the fight. If anything, it makes it worse. Because there's nothing that'll make a party finder disband faster than a mechanic 30 seconds into the fight and it being fucked up on the first pull.
Yep.
It's literally like groups are going to go in. It's going to be like, farm party. The first set of orbs is going to get fucked up and someone's going to leave. It's not even going to be...
That's happened a couple of times.
Like, fuck it. Not dealing with it.
Sure
Not
has.
doing this. Not doing this.
Sure
That's
has.
all it is to it. And it's funny until it's not. It's really not. For the love of God. Good times had. Okay, but other than that, there's a lot of little things that I just didn't get into. Obviously, patch notes are quite extensive for 5.4. And we still have Ishgard, we still have Delibrum, we still have Save the Queen, we still have Blue Mage, we still have a lot of stuff in the coming weeks. But my brain is still entirely focused on Savage, even though I'm done with it.
Yep.
Because now I gotta get ready for Ultimate, Sly.
In what?
April 27th is my prediction for Ultimate.
That's what I was thinking. I wasn't thinking the 27th. I was thinking April, but...
Well, the 13th is most likely the patch, and so I just added 2 weeks.
Okay.
So that's my prediction. Gonna lock it in on my calendar right now. And we'll be solid. That's it. Good, great, grand, wonderful. No yelling on the bus. And that's it. Do you know what that's from?
No yelling on the bus. No.
That's from Billy Madison. I think that's Chris Farley says that.
I'll do that in a minute.
Yeah, after the scene where he's like, but I know a guy. No, you don't. No, I don't. But imagine if I did. Is everyone on the bus? Good, great, grand, wonderful. No yelling on the bus. I just like to throw that in there as a quote occasionally. I like to quote the good Adam Sandler movies when I can. Not O'Doyle rules.
O'Doyle rules!
O'Doyle, I got a feeling your whole family is going down. But right now, I got it steady. Oh, man. So, yeah, we've still got a lot to look forward to. And, man, spoiler cast is going to be lit.
Oh, yeah, we can finally say shit.
Looks like next Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's... Yeah, we should probably stop there
can't get
before we feel like we need to say anything.
I can't get here fast enough.
No, it can't. Next Friday at noon, specifically. Since we will have Ethos on, who, again, demanded that we find out a fucking time for the show. As quickly as possible. So, Sly, on that note, are we good to go?
We are good to go. Let's just get the next Friday.
Yeah, I agree. Let's do that. Let's most certainly do that. All right, Sly. On that note, wrap things up. Thank you.
Yeah, let's do that.
Thank you for hanging out with me this week, Sly. Thank you for joining us, everyone. Everyone in the chat on YouTube. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you to our sponsors, Steel Series, of course. Mentioned them at the start, but of course our patrons, whose names have been scrolling in the top right this whole time, who have through thick and thin this year, as crazy year as it's been, we've had a lot of people still on that list, still supporting, still enjoying the show. Hopefully, whether it be in audio format on Spotify, SoundCloud, or whatever you're using to listen to podcasts, or here on the YubTubs, where we're used to uploading it, or live on Twitch. Lots of support over there. And of course, thank you to our patrons of darkness, Khuja, on Jenova, and Kurenai Oni, who have gone above her and beyond her. And so thank you to them. Listen, don't give me that smile, Sly. I'm going to say whatever I want, because I'm tired. All right?
It's okay. It's okay. It's been a long week. I completely understand.
It has been, again, now 4 or 5 hour warm coffee that there's still a little bit left in here.
And he's going to drink it.
And I'm keeping my veins caffeinated for the time being, as best I can. All right. So with that, Sly, why don't you tell everyone what you're up to and what you're going to be up to this coming week, weekend, holiday season, whatever it is you got planned.
Hi, you can find me at twitch.tv/Sly, aka Great Fox. You can find me on Twitter at Sly the Fox. Yeah, just doing a lot of this. I was thinking about doing Cyberpunk. I'll hold my thoughts. I'll hold out until, things get ironed out. But yeah, there's content, dude. We got content respect. And whatnot, as well as Station WSOY, which will be tonight, right after this. So you just want to come hang out, listen to some good tunes, just relax. You know where to be.
And for those on YouTube, tonight means Saturday, by the way.
Yes.
Because it will not be tonight for those of you on YouTube. That'll be Saturday nights for you on YouTube.
Yeah, every Saturday night. Yeah, that's pretty much it. 5.4. Waiting on the World of Horror patch that's supposedly coming out soon.
Excellent.
But yeah, that's it. And perhaps besides, sleep, where can they find you? Oh, hi, Aloha.
No, you're coming here. Come here. You're coming here for the outro. Don't run. Don't run. Stop running. Stop running. Resist. Don't resist. Don't resist.
Resist. Don't resist.
Don't resist, Aloha. Don't resist. Okay. All right. Hey, no. Stay.
Yeah.
Hi.
So, yeah. Where can I find you, Haps? And Aloha?
You can find me at Mr. Happy1227 on Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Aloha, why? No, come back. Okay, he run. Cat run. Yeah, those places. Right. Now, I've got a lot of 5.4 stuff to release. Genshin 1.2 is coming around in Aloha. Don't do that. Hey. Stop. Okay. Yeah, I got Genshin 1.2 stuff towards the end of December. And then next year it gets crazy. It gets crazy.
Yeah, it does.
Very, very quickly next year gets crazy. I'm turning 30 in 15 days also. So.
Ooh, boy. 3-0.
Yeah. I'm just going to wake up and I'm just going to feel dead inside. Like, that's it. All right. And so that's what my life's going to be for the next several weeks, is preparing for that. All right. See, now that's... Oh, so Sly can actually see Aloha right now, and you can't. But, yeah, he's getting comfy. He's getting comfy for his evening nap, as he will. So, yeah, thanks, everyone, for tuning in. We'll do a short post-show, and then Sly's got WSLY to do. So I won't keep him for too long. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Spoiler cast next week. Be there or be a four-sided shape. Aloha, stop licking the bed. All right. On that note, we'll see you next week.
We'll see you next week. Take care, everyone.
Goodbye.